Well, did you expect it? Didn't you expect it? Here we are again with our off the cuff stuff. We give people a couple of minutes because when it sort of flashes up, you probably at this time of night, I'm guessing that most of you are in the middle of dinner, or you're about to sit down to eat, or maybe putting the kids to bed or something. So maybe this is not a great time for you. So maybe we won't get anybody today, Chris. Although if we don't get anybody, we can still say, well, you can. It's going to be recorded, so you can see it another time. I didn't think about putting the kids to bed, and I should have because I've just spoken to my grandson to say good night to him, and it's a school night too. So sorry. I never thought about it. Such a uh, I wasn't the only person I was thinking about right now was probably me. Such a thoughtless and inconsiderate person that I am. But anyway, it's just off the cuff stuff anyway, so it doesn't really matter what we say or what we do. Um, so first of all, I'd like to say, of course, to remind us all and to acknowledge my spirit guide Gregel, who is as always standing to my right side, and he's chuckling at me. And of course, Chris. Hello.
Hello, everyone, and we do have people on, Rosemary.
Do we really? What are you doing? Go get the kids to bed. Go wash the dishes. Do all of those things. What are you doing watching me? Are you just taking break? Well, of course, in England, 7, let me see, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's really only about 12:30. So come on, you should all be still up there, all you late nighters in England. And of course, we like to reach people all over the world. We'd love it if you made comments and told us where are you in the world and what time is it where you are, and then that way we can gauge whether this is a good time or not a good time. So I just was out and about a little bit early on with my friend Mary Lou, and we decided to go and get some fish, actually fish and chips. There's nothing like British fish and chips, I have to tell you. It doesn't matter what anybody says, but these were pretty good. And of course, I'm trying not to eat fish and chips, but the fish was delicious, the cod was delicious. And when she came to pick me up, we were actually going to go out to the beach, but then she remembered that we have red tide here, which is that sort of fungus that goes across the water, and when you get near it, it doesn't come very often, fortunately. When you do get near it, it's like really choking and affects your breathing and so on and so forth. It's anyway. So we decided that we wouldn't go to the beach. So we brought the food back here and sat by the pool, and we ate and we chatted. And she brought me, which I had asked her for this. She told me what she'd done, and I asked her to bring me this. And I've been asking her for quite a while, and she forgot, and I forgot. You know how it is. But you all know that we're doing the webinar on Saturday, and we're going to be talking to the spirit world. But most of you know also that in a couple of weeks, on the 22nd of May, we're going to be doing a special with Grey Eagle, and we're going to be doing what they call direct voice. And if anybody's got a question or you want to know more about that, just let me know. But we're going to do what is known as direct voice, and so Grey Eagle is going to be speaking directly to us. And he's only ever done this publicly once before, and that was in December. And Mary Lou transcribed a little bit of it, so I'm hoping you'll forgive me if I read to you just a little taste of what we might expect to hear, or the kinds of things that we might expect to hear, the wisdom and the wonder of listening to a highly evolved spiritual entity as he speaks directly to us using my voice box. I shall be pushed to the side quite willingly, quite happily, I have to tell you. And Gregor is going to use my body, he's going to use my voice box. I mean, how weird is that? Are you thinking, come on, really? How weird is that? But it does happen, and he is amazing. And so all of you who are attending that particular webinar we're inviting people to sort of put questions forward for Grey Eagle. Anyway, I'm going to read you this. It's very short, but I'm going to read it now, and I might then read it again so you get a chance to hear it twice. I might read it again before we finish, but I'd love to read this to you because this is Grey Eagle speaking, direct voice, using my voice box, direct voice. This is something that Grey gave to us. One of many things that he said to us in the webinar in December, but I thought you might like a little taste of it. You might like to hear just what it is. So it's not very I'm sort of looking for the light really, but anyway, I'm going to have a go at reading this and hope that I can see it clearly. So this is going to be my voice now, but you just have to understand that this is what Grey Eagle actually said to us. So here we go. It's a message from Grey Eagle. Your world needs gentleness. Where is your gentleness? Where did it go? It has disappeared. It has gone into the air. It is not to be seen. It is not to be heard except within the child, as the child lies in its bed and we look upon it. Then we see gentleness. We see gentleness in your eyes, and we see gentleness in the eyes of the child, and the calm and the beauty of the child, and the purity of the soul of the child. He asks, where did your gentleness go? He's asking all of us, where did our gentleness go? Where did your gentleness go? He asks. Take a look at the child and find the child within you. Show gentleness to the child within you. Stop pointing fingers. The cruelty of this world is only increasing. Gentleness must be increased above and beyond all. When I read this tonight, when I was with Mary Lou, I felt, first of all, so very sad for our world. I felt so very sad for all of us. When Grey Eagle says, you know, where is it? He says, let's see. When he says the cruelty of this world is increasing, it sends cold shivers down me to think that those in the spirit world, this is how they see us. This is how they see our world. I know that so many of you who watch these shows, you're all about gentleness and kindness and becoming more and more spiritual, which is a great thing. And we have to share this message with as many people as we can. We don't have to point fingers. Grey Eagle says, stop pointing fingers, stop blaming other people. And Mary Lou and I were having this discussion over dinner tonight, and we were talking about the whoever it was, the mayor or some politician who went to sit with all of those people who were rioting, violent and terrible rioting. Not people who were calmly and quietly and peacefully standing up for the things that they don't agree with, but creating violence, shooting, setting fires, pointing fingers. It's the government's fault, or it's Donald Trump's fault, or it's somebody else's fault. This isn't my fault, is what they're saying. We're going to show you, we're going to show you the world in a violent way. So when Grey Eagle is saying, you know, the cruelty of this world is increasing, to me, hearing that from this wonderful and gentle spiritual entity, I know him as gentle and I know him as loving, and for him to be able to look at this world of ours and to say the cruelty of this world is increasing, that should be a warning to all of us. We should strive really, really hard to not let it happen, to increase the gentleness of the world, to promote the gentleness of the world. And we can do that by showing gentleness. We can do that by teaching our children, not by what we say to them, but by our actions. We can teach others by our actions to be gentle, to be kind, to be loving, and we should be promoting that. So I felt guilty in a way when I read this. I felt so very guilty because, you know, I felt guilty for the human race, because it's not just in America or in Britain or in Italy. It's not just there that it's happening. It's almost as if the whole world is fighting and criticizing and pointing fingers and laying blame, instead of joining together, all of us as a human race, as a community, joining together and promoting the loving and the gentleness and the kindness. And this is what our shows are all about. This is what we are all about. And, I think that I would love it if all of you could share this message with as many people as you possibly can, because I think that this is the message that we need to be promoting more and more and more. As Gregor would say, our gentleness should be increasing, our kindness, our loving should be increasing. That's what we're trying and striving very hard to do here. Chris, do we have any callers? Is there anybody there? I love to say that. Is there anybody there?
Yes, there's absolutely a lot of people here.
Okay.
Some of the comments about what you just read are, I have seen Gray Eagle and Rosemary, and they are an amazing pair. And what you just said was so true and profound. That was from Karen.
Well, I didn't say it. Gregor said it, but I know what you mean. Thank you, Karen.
Maggie says, Rosemary, will you be okay? Because it was emotional for you in the brief time Gray Eagle spoke. Gray Eagle, you were amazing. Don't get me wrong. You are absolutely amazing.
Yeah, yes, I think Maggie's concerned that I'm going to overdo it or something. It isn't an easy thing to do. Let's be clear. It is extremely emotional. The energy that it takes for me to do this is tremendous. But if I can possibly give Grey Eagle the floor, if I can possibly give him the stage, if I can possibly give him the opportunity to speak to all of you, I mean, why wouldn't I do it? So regardless of the cost to me, and trust me, I might be worn out for the rest of the day, but I'll bounce back, because I know how to give healing to myself, and I know how to build energy, and I know absolutely that prior to this amazing webinar that is coming up, prior to that, I shall have, rested, and I shall have done whatever is necessary. And also, please understand, any of you out there thinking, oh gosh, maybe she shouldn't do this. Grey Eagle is my protector. He would never, ever do anything that would damage me personally. So I trust in him, and he trusts in me, and together the two of us were going to have a great time. So, Chris, keep going.
So then we go back to your original question, where people are from. So we have people from Sweden and Florida, Canada, Kansas City.
All right.
Sweden, it's almost 2:00 it is 2:00 in the morning now. Ontario. Let's see if anybody else said anything.
What are you doing, you people in Sweden, awake at 2:00 in the morning? Are you like me? Are you late nighters? Because there are times when I'm up until 3 and 4 in the morning. And then I still get up at 8 to get on with things and get on and do my work and so on and so forth. Let's keep going, Chris.
Mark says, I love your humanness. You of all are so necessary in our world and our lives, to those who follow you and for those yet to follow.
Oh, thank you, Mark. That's so sweet of you to say that.
Then we have people on in Toronto and Williamsburg, Virginia.
So let's, because, this off the cuff stuff, I mean, hey, we just, you're in my living room, and hopefully I'm in your living rooms, or maybe I'm in bed with you. You never know. Where are you with your iPad or your computer and so on? Am I in bed with you? But let's say, okay, so let's have a conversation then about this business of our world needing gentleness. And Gregor has always said that to me. Since the beginning, he has always said to me, "Your world needs gentleness." And I've always felt that when he says that, what he's saying to us as individuals, and what he's saying to me in particular as an individual, is that you must strive to be gentle as often as possible. I mean, goodness, I'm human. I'm not always gentle in any regard. And sometimes I'm laughing because sometimes we have to give tough love, which is not gentle at all, except if we have gentleness in our heart, we will never do any real damage to anyone. And that gentleness, even in our toughest moments, that gentleness will come through. And I was always, it was always important for me when Samantha was a little girl and I had to, give her one of these, you know what I mean, chastise or whatever. I would always begin by saying, "I love you, but don't do that." You know, so I would always make sure that she knew that I loved her, but it wasn't going to get her out of any scrapes. Just because I loved her didn't mean that I would go easy on her one little bit. If she needed me to be tough, that's exactly what I would be. So, come on, people. You're in my living room. We're having not a party exactly, but it's like we've all gathered together to discuss these things. And I have to say that some of the things that go on in the world, and some of the politicians, people who you would really look to do better, to be kinder, to be nicer, and they don't. And I did say to Mary Lou, I wonder if anybody, a politician of any kind, I wonder if somebody could win an election or maybe even become president of the United States or to become the Prime Minister of England. I wonder if somebody stood up there and took a stand and said, "We are not going to point fingers anymore. We are going to be kind to each other. We're going to do our very best for each other." Somebody who really meant it. I wonder how much support that person would get. Or would people look at him, or other politicians look at him and just scoff and call him or her an idealist? Is that what we are? Are we idealists? Because I don't feel that I'm an idealist. I feel that if we all join together and put that message out to as many people as we can together, we can. It takes one small voice to rock the world. And I've always said that, and I always believe it. So here is my voice, my little tiny voice, going out and saying, "Hey, come on, stop pointing fingers. Put your gentle hat on. Let's be kind." And Grey Eagle is telling us very clearly that the cruelty of our world is increasing. Doesn't that scare you? Because it scares the pants off of me. And I think of my grandson and I think, is he going to be a victim to this cruelty? Will he become a part of this cruelty? It's very scary when we think about the things that can happen and that are happening. And that the fact that the cruelty is increasing and the gentleness is decreasing, that is very, very, very scary, a prospect right there. Chris?
Well, I've got a couple of thoughts, Rosemary.
Yeah.
One could be, I mean, I hear you already saying if you could share this video, but what if you also shared this video with your elected officials? That might be something.
Yeah,
And then
they might either think you're all crazy, or hey, why not? Let's bombard them. Let's bombard them. Let's encourage our politicians to be elected on the basis of being nice guys.
And then you also have the influencers, the social media influencers. You could tag them and forward this on your Twitter or your Instagram or however that goes, and have them see it and share it, and then the word gets out that way too.
Do you
But
think?
the other thing I wanted to mention is you've said it many times, Rosemary, the saying of, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy?
Yeah.
And how that ties in with gentleness.
And honestly, you'd be amazed at how many people say, "No, I want to be right." You'd be amazed, and more people are saying, "I want to be right. I'd rather be right than happy." But Chris, when you're talking about this, I'm thinking maybe we should just try and start up a movement, a gentleness movement. Let's start up a movement and let's encourage as many people as we can to promote gentleness instead of meanness, to promote kindness instead of cruelty. That's, we should, hey, maybe I should stand on a platform. I'm not quite sure which platform I should stand on. And I don't do politics very well because I've got no time for people who think that, they've got a political, platform, and that means that they can say anything they want without regard for the effect it's going to have on other people. And we see that, don't we, more and more and more. So Chris, what have we got going out there?
So Lori says, my understanding is that there are two organized groups of these violent rioters and that they are paid on a large part.
Oh yeah, because all of those nice politicians and those nice, not just politicians, business people, anybody who's going to benefit from it, they can stand in the background and they'll never ever show their faces because they know too well that if they showed their faces, how dishonest of them and what cowardly people they are. But they pay organizations to go in there and riot and set the fires and so on and so forth. And it's the whole thing is just such awful political scamming. And how do we get rid of it? What do we do? I suppose it takes one small voice, right? So if we all collectively join together with that one small voice, your voice joined to my voice, and joined to somebody else's voice, and so on and so forth, we could make it a roar. We could get that one small voice to become a roar.
Shelley says, hello, Rosemary. You are in my kitchen in Indiana, USA. Gentleness, it seems too easy and possibly too easy to take advantage of in a world of me, and me again.
Yeah. Well, I hope you're cooking something good in that kitchen. Um, um, I think that sometimes people think that the solution, don't be ridiculous. That's far too simple. But the simple idea, the good idea, the kind idea, is the one that we should be following. So, anyway, keep going, Chris.
Jeff says, another good saying or question to ask is, how long do you want to hurt? This speaks to spiritual unrest within.
Oh, Jeff, that's you're so right, because I think there are so many people out there who really, they don't realize what they're doing to themselves, and sometimes it's so easier to point the finger and blame other people than it is to just take a good look at yourself. Tomorrow we're going to, with this lovely volunteer, this very brave volunteer of ours, we're going to she's going to publicly allow us to look within her, to help her to look at herself and to see if we can help to steer and guide her on the right track. So we're excited about that. That's happening tomorrow at 12, and we're looking for volunteers. And Jeff, hey, I'd love to have you on at some point. But you're so right. Yes. How long do you want to hurt? And some people just like to be victims. They just do. And perhaps they don't know how to be anything else, or they're afraid to be anything else. They're afraid to let go of their anger. They're afraid to let go of that, poor me, because they're afraid that if they let go of that, they might not have anything else. And that is so not true. Chris.
Well, when you think of the indigenous people and you think of the people of color and the terrible atrocities that have happened to human beings across generations, everybody says, well, geez, how do you erase everything that's happened before? How do you make it better? And where does it start? It has to start now within each person.
But I think that this business of erasing is, I think this is where we go wrong, because I think that we should, hold on to the things that have happened to us, because they are, these are the battle scars, a nation's battle scars, a people's battle scars. I don't think you should erase them, but I think you should wear them proudly, uh, and make them work for you instead of working against you. To wear your scars proudly, whether they're emotional scars or whether they're physical scars, wear them proudly and say, look here, this is how I've suffered. But instead of being angry and bitter because of it, instead of pointing the finger and saying it's somebody else's fault, I'm wearing my scars proudly, because these scars and this pain is what has taught me how to be, how I want to be, and we should. I I believe. I mean, I've got battle scars. I'm a warrior. We all have scars, but what I don't do is I don't hide behind the wall. I'm not afraid to stand up. I'm not afraid to be hurt again. And I think so many people are just so afraid to be hurt again that they build a wall, an emotional wall, and they hide behind the wall. How do we help people? Because people don't know how to come out from the wall. People don't know how to pull out that bottom brick. People don't know how to take the wall down. Join us tomorrow. You'll get a little glimpse of how we might do it. Yes, Chris, keep going.
That's an interesting visual that you have there, Rosemary. If you're standing there, scars, warts, and all, illuminated of light, and people are looking at you, versus you have built the brick wall around you, you can't see out and people can't see in. And that's
Right.
where fear exists, right?
Yeah, that's right.
What a
That's
big
right.
difference.
But, people hide behind this wall, this emotional wall that they've built, because they think it's going to protect them. But what it does is it isolates them. So, to try to explain to people you've got to come out from the wall. They don't know how to do it. They don't know what they're supposed to be doing. We're going to be showing you that tomorrow. But also, standing and facing. I can remember, oh gosh, years ago now, when I first began this work, and I remember every night I would close my eyes and go. I would have all the lights blazing in the bedroom and in the hallway and wherever in the house, because I was terrified of the dark, and I was terrified of things sort of going bump in the night and so on. But every single time, this went on for weeks and weeks and weeks, every single time I closed my eyes, I saw this awful sort of, I can only describe it as evil, wicked face that would come zooming and looming into me, and I'd open my eyes and I'd sit up, and I'd get a crossword out, or I'd sort of play a game of some kind, just to take my mind off of it, so I didn't have to face it. And then every time I go back down the covers, tire it out, go back down under the covers, and as soon as I closed my eyes, it would come looming at me again and again. And this went on for weeks, and consequently, I didn't sleep for weeks. Consequently, I would take sort of little cat naps through the night. Consequently, I kept the light on. I was terrified that this thing was going to come to me. And then I think one night, I was so tired, I was so exhausted, and I was so tired of being afraid that, for whatever reason, I lay down, closed my eyes, there it was again, and I leapt up and I just simply said, boo, go away, go away. And it never came back. So facing your fears, is my point, is the only way to get rid of them. Because when you face your fears and you deal with it, you can really truly move on, and really, sort of discover who you really are. So, Chris, let's have some comments, some questions. So I'm going to keep quiet and let you do your thing.
Terry says gentleness is seen as weakness, which is not true. You can be gentle but firm. I am a vice principal, and this is the approach I took.
Good
But
for
I am
you.
often seen as not tough enough to do the job. I have been told I am too nice.
Golly, there's no such thing as being too nice. You continue, Terry, to be too nice because I love you already. And you're right, it takes great courage to be gentle sometimes. It takes great understanding and great empathy to be gentle sometimes. And it sounds to me like you're doing a fabulous job. And, all those people who criticize you, well, we don't care about them, do we? Because we know you're doing a great job. Chris, keep going.
Carolyn says, I've often thought a good news channel would be so much more useful than our regular bad
Oh,
news
gosh.
channels.
Oh, yes.
Does
Oh,
it
yes.
help to send out gentle, loving thoughts? Is that as powerful as letters to politicians?
Why don't we do both? Our thoughts are the most powerful. Thoughts are the most powerful thing that we have. Our thoughts go out into the universe. So when we send out good thoughts, they go out and they reach the person they're meant to connect with, and then they come back to us. So they fulfill us, they enhance us. So we get more of that good stuff, more of that good energy. Likewise, negative thoughts do the same thing, except are destructive. But we can send out our good thoughts and our letters, can't we? Can't we? Why wouldn't we do both? Chris?
Lori says, some of my friends and I have started picturing the earth and pouring love, peace, and truth upon it.
That's amazing. We do an exercise with our healing work. We do an exercise where we visualize the earth surrounded by all of those healing colors, all of that beautiful energy, and we visualize this energy spinning around and around the earth and permeating the earth and going through the earth and reaching into the earth and touching all of us who are on this earth. And we do this. It's a brilliant exercise. It's a fantastic exercise, and it's about sending out our healing thoughts to our world and also out into the universe.
Rosemary, would you consider doing that now? Because it would be on the same video that's going out with Gray Eagle's message.
No, not yet. No.
Okay.
Sorry. Sorry. No.
Jeff?
Look, Chris, I have to conserve my energy here.
I understand. Jeff says, as a white person, one of Creator's children, when I step into other racial cultures,
Sorry.
I ask how I can help or simply ask permission to join in and ask to be shown what the life rituals mean from their perspective. My history books were not accurate, so my childhood perspective carried into my adult life, and by respecting other people, whoever they are, has taught me how to learn from them a truthful history.
I just want to point out that, I remember going into the Akwesasne tribe and being invited into their lodge, which was a real privilege. And all of these amazing Native Americans sort of sitting there listening to me and wanting to ask questions of me was I was very honored by that and really, really had an amazing experience. But somebody, or maybe two or three people, some of the questions were, what did I think about how, years ago, that certainly the white man tried to erase the Native American race. I did their best to erase it. Fortunately, it did not succeed, but it made me smile a little bit because they got a little bit more than they bargained for, because I'm British and my little island has been invaded for centuries. Centuries. The Vikings, the Romans, the Saxons, you name it, the Irish fighting, the English fighting the Irish. When you look at any Native American community, you can tell just by looking at them, which is fantastic, I think. You can tell that they are a beautiful race of people. When you look at a British person, some of us have blue eyes, some of us have brown eyes, some of us have green eyes, some of us have, you name it. You cannot tell because our culture has been erased. Can you tell a Scotsman from an Irishman? No. Can you tell an Irishman from an Englishman? No, unless you open your mouth, of course, and then you can hear the different accents. But by looking, my culture was erased centuries ago because we were invaded by all of these different people who then procreated, and you cannot. There's no way to tell what. I don't think there is in my country a true Briton. So when we're talking about black and white and different races and ethnic cultures and so on and so forth, please remember, everybody, it's not just people of color who have had these traumas over the centuries. It's every one of us. I think there isn't a country that hasn't been somehow, in some way, let's say, I don't know, tested, or I won't say destroyed, but I can tell you now, you can walk the face of Britain from one end to the other, and you will not be able to find a true, pure bred Briton, because they don't exist anymore. So unfortunately, I can say that I'm British. I am British, but you'd never know, would you? Is that an interesting thought for all of you out there? Yes, well, I hope it is, because I hope it makes you think. It's not just the Aborigines, it's not just the Maoris, it's not just the Native Americans, it's not just the African people. It's nations everywhere. Nations everywhere have been affected by the cruelty or the dominance of others. And so, so we all have our crosses to bear. Let's bear them well. Let's bear them with honor. Let's be proud about our battle scars. Let's be proud of who we are. My father was a soldier all his life. He was a soldier, and I never once ever heard him blame other people for his lot in life. I never once heard him say, if it weren't for, this country or that nation, or he stood proud, and he was a very proud man, and he was very proud of being a soldier. He was very proud of fighting for his country. Even though we didn't always win, he was very proud of that. And I think we should all wear our battle scars, no matter what color we are, no matter what race we are, no matter what creed we are. We're all human beings. And I don't think it's fair to point out, just that ethnic communities have suffered, because they haven't. We've all, in our different ways, had things that we have to deal with. So I feel as if I'm on a soapbox now. Stop. Chris.
Lori mentions the media has to be dealt with. The propaganda is terrible. I had a patient who was in Iran years ago to visit her family. The media was showing an attack that wasn't happening. Her phone started going crazy from the family in Canada who were worried sick, and she told them it's not true.
Yeah, I've had that experience as well. People have called me and said, oh my gosh, are you okay? And I'm thinking, why wouldn't I be? And the news media really does hype it up, don't they? Well, I suppose they're trying to sell tickets, so to speak. They're trying to get a bigger audience, a larger audience. There was an article, I remember when COVID first came out, there was this huge online article on an online newspaper. Mother and daughter die of COVID. Mother and two daughters die of COVID. And it was headlines. And you all automatically think, oh my goodness, what's going on here? Well, when you read down to the very bottom of the page where the print got smaller, the mother was 86 or something, and the two daughters were well into their 70s. I mean, come on, and the mother had cancer. She was nearly into her 90s. The mother had cancer and had cancer for years. And isn't it funny that nobody ever dies of a cold? Nobody has a cold anymore, do they? Nobody ever dies of anything normal anymore, because the media won't let us leave it be. Anyway, Chris, keep going.
Mila asks, How can we find the joy and peace from years ago? I personally can't help but feel all the tension in the universe.
Oh gosh. Well, Mila, I have to tell you that I don't feel the tension of the universe because to me, the universe surrounds me with that love and joy that it's very hard to find these days on this earth of ours. I think we have to promote it and we have to strive against the negativities of our world. I don't feel that the universe is negative. I feel that so much love and so much joy comes from beyond this earth of ours. Chris.
Terry responded back to you. Terry was the vice principal, saying, "Thanks, Rosemary. My wife and I have seen you twice in Toronto, and we love you back."
Oh, thank you so much. That's so nice of you. That's really nice. Keep going, Chris.
Uh, Rhonda says, "Yes, a gentleness movement, and it will start with me. I need to be more gentle."
Oh, Rhonda, good for you, my darling. Good. If we've inspired that little bit of gentleness in you, or some of us we're so afraid to be gentle. It's like Terry said. Other people look at you and say you're too soft, you're too this, you're too that, and so on and so forth, criticizing you. Nobody should ever dare to criticize when someone is a gentle soul. It's a beautiful thing. So a lot of people are afraid because you don't want to be seen as soft, or you don't want to be seen as a patsy, or you don't want to be seen as that person who can be taken advantage of. I know why. A lot of people are afraid to show their gentle side, but I promise you, if you do, Ron, I promise you, the benefits will outweigh the negatives massively.
Mark says, "It would not be gentleness if it doesn't rest in one's heart and soul. We all yearn for this."
Don't we, though? Don't we just? But it has to come from us, Mark, as I'm sure you know, right? Has to be within us, and then we have to share it. So what you all have to do is to share this off the cuff stuff. When you've finished watching, I think we have a little button on our website. Just press the button and it sends it out to everybody you know. Just press that button and share, because we really want to share this idea of being gentle. And when Grey Eagle tells us that the cruelty of this world is increasing, oh my goodness, that is scary. So let's try and work our way through, at least trying to stop it in our own small little world.
Or you could hop on YouTube and copy the link and put it on Twitter and Instagram and whatever else you use out there.
Yeah.
That's another way to do it. Maggie says, "I initiated saying I love you when I end calls with my girls, when my mom was here, and with my sister and brothers."
Nice. Very nice. Well, I'm always saying I love you to my grandson. I'm always saying I love you to my daughter. Um, and, she's called me earlier on just to chat. She sometimes, when she's in the kitchen or she's cooking, she sometimes will call just to chat, or just to hang out a bit. And we never, ever would dream of ending a call without saying I love you. So, but often we say it in amongst the conversation. Chris.
Okay, Carla says, "I have the opposite issue. I can be too straightforward."
Well, actually, Carla, you won't find anyone more straightforward than I am. And it has often been said by sometimes disgruntled people, how come you can say that and that and that, and you get away with it, but when I say it, I'm being mean. And it is true. I get away with a great deal. I can actually, and Chris knows this, on a personal level, I can actually really look someone in the eye and say to them, "Look, this is what you're doing is absolutely not right, and I won't tolerate it," or "This is not right, and I feel this and this." I'm very straight and I'm a very straight talker, but here's the difference. When I say it, I say it with gentleness in my heart, and naturally then people know that I'm coming from a good place. My students used to be terrified to be in the hot seat with me. There's nobody more straightforward than I am. Why they would be terrified used to be beyond me, because if they were in the hot seat, it was because I was trying to teach them and to show them, and I was doing that because I cared about them. And I remember a student of mine once telling some of our patients at one of our healing centers, she said, you don't want to be in the hot seat with Rosemary. And 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 I said, well, let me explain something to you. Be thankful if you're in the hot seat with me, because if you're on the hot seat with me, it means I care. I care enough to straighten you out. I care enough to give you a talking to. I care enough to show you where I think you're going wrong in life. I care enough. It's when I don't put you in the hot seat and I don't, uh, you know, tell you these things that you really have to worry, because if I don't put you in the hot seat, I simply just don't care. So, just you got to do it, and you've got to make your intentions clear. I love you, but here we go now. This is what I have to say to you. Chris.
I think Carla might need that from you. She's saying, yes, my family accuses me of being mean. My friend Janet and I are looking forward to the Saturday Zoom session,
Oh,
praying
good.
for healing messages, and we love you.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. I'm so glad you're coming. And there are just 1 or 2 tickets left. If you want to, anyone out there is wanting to join, we are going to spend a good portion of Saturday, quite a good portion of Saturday, giving messages from the spirit world. Greg and I are going to be, talking. We're going to be answering questions. We're going to be trying to be as specific as we can be with our messages for people. So it's going to. I think it's going to prove to be a really, really great Saturday. If you want a ticket, if you didn't know about it or you were interested, go to the website rosemaryaltea.com. There is a little button that you can click there. I do believe, right, Chris, which will
Yes.
take you straight to buying your ticket. But I think we're very close to being sold out. So just, check it out. But hurry up about it. Chris.
Lori is very timely with her comment. She says, Rosemary's step back lesson is crucial lately. I try harder than ever not to react.
Yeah, take a breath. We did that.
It's coming.
What's coming?
Your thought of the week.
Oh, on Sunday, you will hear my thought for the week. Yes, but actually, we did talk about it, I think, on Motivation Monday. Motivation Monday, taking a step back before you're tempted to say anything, before you're tempted to react in any way. Take a breath, take a step back, and think before you say, because everything you say, everything you do has a ripple effect. And we often see that ripple effect when we sort of look on that. You can see it on the surface. We can see how our actions, our words and our actions affect other people. What we don't see is when you throw that pebble into the pond, so to speak, when you say that one thing that is going to affect other people, we can see the effect on the top, but that pebble goes down, 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 deep, 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 and we don't always see the effect that we have on people, that deep and very often hurtful effect that we have on people. And we want to make sure that if we're going to create ripples with somebody, we're going to create good ripples, ripples that make people feel good, make them feel loved, make them feel wanted. So remember, every action that we take, every word that we say has a reaction. Every action has a reaction. And pebbles going out on the pond, if you go back to look at last Sunday's thought for the week, you'll find it's called ripples. And I talk about the effect that we do have and how what we say and how what we do affects everyone around us. And we need to make sure that it affects them in a good way, not adversely. Yes, Chris.
Debbie says, speaking of the hot seat, I just watched the interview with Larry King when the man who was a skeptic was berating you and didn't believe anything about what you were telling him.
Oh, that's Randy, I think. Yeah. Do you know he used
Yeah.
to call himself the Great Randy? Always made me smile.
All
uh,
right. The last comment we have here, Rosemary, is from Maggie. Because of my ex and his disparaging comments, when I showed love to my girls and I hugged them, they find it hard to show each other any type of emotion.
Well, Maggie, you just got to be their example, right? Try your very best to be their example. And I know that you can be a good example. By the way, I had 2 packages this morning. I had some chocolate covered cherries, and then I had some chocolate covered cherries, different types. But I'm so excited, and I will get back to the 2 lovely people who have sent me these lovely gifts. Uh, I'm not sure if they're for Mother's Day or for my birthday, but I'm going to count them as if they're for my birthday. It doesn't matter, but thank you, thank you, thank you. You know who you are, those of you, Maggie, right? You know who you are, those of you who keep sending me these lovely dark chocolate covered cherries. Oh, they are my favorite. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And do we have anything else going on, Chris?
No, that was the last comment.
Okay, so have we been doing this for an hour then?
Almost.
Oh my golly. Well, that's it then. I'm done. This off the cuff stuff. It's fun. It's fun to do. But all right, I'm hoping to see some of you tomorrow. 12 o'clock noon tomorrow Eastern Standard Time. So if you're in England, that would be 5 o'clock. I can't speak for the rest of the world, but we have this wonderful and brave and lovely volunteer who's going to be on our meeting with us, and she's very brave, and we are working through our other volunteers. We've had so many volunteers; it's hard to be able to choose which ones that we're going to use. But we're going to be doing this every Friday for the whole month of May because it is our celebration. 25 years since the Eagle and the Rose was first published on the 19th. The official publishing date was the 19th of May. Golly, my goodness me, 25 years ago, 1996 it came out, and here we are, and people are still reading it, and people are still looking for it, and people are still inspired by it. And I have to thank all of you out there who have made it possible for us to bring this message out. So remember, I'm going to just read just a piece again of what Grey Eagle said. I'm going to leave you with it. Some of you I know came in late, missed it. So message from Grey Eagle. It is, after all, the off the cuff stuff. So I can do what I like here, right? Your world needs gentleness. Where is your gentleness? Where did it go? It has disappeared. It has gone into the air. It is not to be seen. It is not to be heard, except within the child, as the child lies in its bed and we look upon it. Then we see gentleness. We see gentleness in your eyes, and we see gentleness in the eyes of the child, and the calm and the beauty of the child, and the purity of the soul of the child. Where did your gentleness go? Take a look at the child and find the child within you. Show gentleness to the child within you. Stop pointing fingers. The cruelty of this world is only increasing. Gentleness must be increased above and beyond all. I'll leave you with that message. I hope you'll share it with as many people as you can. I look forward to seeing some of you tomorrow. I look forward to seeing those of you. I'm excited about Saturday. And on Sunday, remember, you're going to be joining me. It's Mother's Day. I'm going to be cooking grouper, I think. Yes, with the delicious Parmesan cheese sauce on the top. It's so easy to make. You will not believe how easy. And a most delicious sauce to go with it. And I shall be wishing some mummies out there a happy Mother's Day from their children, from their children. If you want me to wish your mummy happy Mother's Day, just email Chris, Kris, at rosemaryaltea.com. We'll put your name on the list of people that I shall be wishing either happy Mother's Day or happy birthday, whatever it is you want. If you want to send a message to somebody from me or through me from you, we're happy to do that. So lots of exciting things for next week. I'm hoping I shall see you tomorrow. If not, please have a very blessed rest of the day, night, morning, wherever you are in the world. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.